Season of the Construct has so much going on.
New quest lines, new legendary items, new unique items, new mechanics, challenges, and more. In the Season of the Construct, you learn of a wondrous place beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan, filled with untold treasure. Nearly all who seek this treasure never return. Those that do return are haunted, or worse yet, possessed. You seek out this place to put an end to whatever is lurking there.
Following a lead, you discover a sprawling network of underground vaults. It houses the Loom, a priceless apparatus built long ago by the brilliant mages Zoltan Kul and Ayuzhan of Chaldeum to shape the elements and build tools to serve humanity.
While exploring the network, you rescue Ayuzhan, only to discover that the demon Malphus has taken over the Loom to create its own private hell.
Malphus is a servant of Diablo. He is unlike other demons we've encountered in Diablo 4. He's shapeless, manipulates others, takes on forms other than his own.
He has possessed one of Zoltan Kul's prized constructs.
And you must work with Ayuzhan to explore the vaults, gain access to the Loom, and defeat Malphus.
This season introduces constructs. These elementally powered monsters were originally created by Ayuzhan and Zoltan to protect and maintain the Loom. Unfortunately, Malphus has taken control of them and twisted them to his liking. They're powered by various different elements, giving them different abilities and strengths and weaknesses. You'll also find them, of course, in the vaults themselves, protecting the many treasures within. As players engage with the storyline of the Season of the Construct, they're going to come across a broken version of the Seneschal during the quest line. The Seneschal is a special construct that was built to command the other constructs based on Ayuzhan's and Zoltan's direction. Ayuzhan of Chaldeum repairs the Seneschal to follow your orders.
The Seneschal construct is your companion. It's a rebuilt construct that will accompany you throughout the season. Your construct's power will grow along with you. The Seneschal construct has many different abilities that can complement the player's build. It can deal damage, crowd control monsters, or even support you directly by healing you or providing you a damage bonus. Magical stones are the key to customizing and empowering your construct. They are primarily found in vaults. You get governing stones from the season quest line, and you get tuning stones from playing through the seasonal content. A governing stone is a core construct ability, while a tuning stone is a singular modification for any number of governing stones.
As players are progressing through the Season of the Construct and they're leveling up their Seneschal, adding new abilities and improving them, they're going to find abilities that are going to deal damage to packs of monsters, to single monsters, and also abilities that are just focused on buffing the power of the player themselves, so that players have different options as they're progressing through the season.
One cool ability is Auto Defense. Auto Defense summons a magical barrier around your construct that shoots down enemy projectiles. Another cool ability that your construct has is Focus Fire. It is a channeled ray of fire that can chain to multiple enemies. Use combinations of tuning stones to transform a seemingly simple skill into something truly crazy.
Vaults are seasonal dungeons that are filled with a high concentration of deadly traps, where you can farm for the magic stones for your Seneschal constructs. You can find the entrances in different zones of Sanctuary. When the player enters a vault, they are met in a familiar area of Sanctuary. Then, the player teleports to the vault proper, encountering great challenges. Vaults not only have our new construct family in them, but also new traps built for this season.
Players are going to discover many new hazards inside these vault spaces. Whether it is spinning pillars shooting out flames or other traps. Players need to stay on their toes while they're progressing through these vaults in order to stay alive.
Each vault culminates in a gauntlet of true skill. Players must avoid traps while fighting waves of enemies and a powerful elite. If you survive that, the traps will turn off and the treasure room is revealed. If you get hit by a trap, you lose 1 stack of Zoltan's Warding. Zoltan's Warding is a special buff players can get by interacting with the statue of Zoltan Kul when they enter a vault, if they have a Pearl of Warding. Ward-woven chests are special chests players can interact with at the end of a vault if they have enough stacks of Zoltan's Warding left over. If a player has more than 1 stack, they can open a rare ward-woven chest. Those have even better rewards. This season introduces our first stationary boss in Diablo 4.
This is going to be a fight against this massive protective golem meant to watch over the vaults. The Malphus, once again, has managed to corrupt and control.
Because it's stationary, it gives us the opportunity to include some of the season's new traps into the arena. This presents a lot of unique and new mechanics for the players to navigate and fight.
The The player is going to need to bring all of their skills and abilities to bear as they try to destroy and fight off these Malthus-controlled constructs. They're also going to make good use of their own Seneschal, make sure they remain upgraded in the fights to come. The Gauntlet is a new, fixed-seed, non-linear dungeon where players have a fixed amount of time to achieve high scores by proving their might. Any player who unlocks World Tier 4, Torment Mode, can compete in the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet starts several weeks into the season of the construct. At the beginning of each week, a new Gauntlet replaces the current one. Unlike other dungeons, every time you and other players enter the Gauntlet that week, it will be exactly the same. Same monster positions, same affixes, everything. This makes it a fair competition. Additionally, monsters within the Gauntlet start at level 100. This is meant to test your fully leveled up and geared out build. It's highly replayable, enabling a broad set of player choices. Players can try different classes and strategies for achieving high scores. Leaderboards are a place for top players to compete with one another in the Gauntlet. These reset each week when a new Gauntlet appears. There are solo leaderboards for each class, as well as party leaderboards that vary with party size. And of course, there are a set of leaderboards just for hardcore players too. But some players may not be ready for that type of play, so we've created goals for them as well. Each leaderboard has a ladder that you climb to reach it. Each rung of the ladder awards a seal that you can show off. And when you earn the seal of the worthy, you'll be ready for leaderboard competition. Can't wait to see you in Sanctuary.
Hello, Diablo community. Welcome to another Diablo 4 Campfire Chat. My name is Adam Fletcher. I'm the community director here for Diablo, and I'm joined by two very familiar faces. Regular appearing people on Campfire Chats. I have Mr. Adam Jackson here, who's our lead class designer, and Mr. Joey P, Joe Pipora, our associate game director. He doesn't like it when I say Joey P.
I don't hate it. It's just it feels like a running gag that like very few people have.
Me, Tiffany Watt, our production director,
yeah,
very big fans of Joey P.
Joey P on deck. Yeah.
We have a big Campfire Chat to talk about today. We have a lot of updates to talk about for Diablo 4. Of course, we have our mid-season update, which is coming up really soon. In fact, it's coming next week. So players will be able to experience the mid-season update. And along with that, a very big feature that everyone's been talking about and anticipating. I know it's been a long anticipated feature within Diablo 4, and that is the Gauntlet. So we'll be talking about the Gauntlet as well and actually showcasing it here because that does come with the mid-season update next week as well. So players will be able to jump into the Gauntlet and try it out themselves starting next Tuesday. But I know a lot of stuff has happened over Diablo 4 since the start of Season 3. Just recently, we released the 1.3.2 patch, which was the one that included a way for players who actually have a bunch of Uber Uniques and want to craft Uber Uniques. They can do that by creating resplendent sparks and then being able to craft the Uber Uniques that they specifically want if they happen to find other ones and stuff. And so, but we do have a lot of new features coming into the actual mid-season update with 1.3.3. One really popular one coming back from Season 2. I know you guys want to talk about it a little bit more right now.
Yes, we have vampiric powers returning from Season 2. Yeah. So we really like being able to bring back some of the malignant powers from Season 1 in the form of the unique rings we have dropping from Barshan in Season 2. Now, as we're looking towards Season 3, in the mid-season patch, we're able to bring back some of the vampiric powers that players really seemed to like. We thought were pretty cool. And bring them back in a slightly different form. I think Adam's going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, we'll be going over all of them and which ones we brought back and what they do. You'll be able to see all of it in a little bit here.
Yeah, so I think we have a kind of a slide to start talking about our vampiric powers.
Yeah, so really we've got 6 vampiric powers that are really returning from the Season of Blood. They're coming back this time as legendary powers instead of uniques. So unlike the unique greens, these are going to be legendary powers, just like any other legendary power that comes in the game. And they're not all exact one-to-one copies. They're really close to matching their previous functionality and kind of what you would expect them to do. But we brought them back in a way that's kind of evergreen, that they can be sustainable.
They can fit in that mix and match format of the aspect system, right? So
yeah. So the ones we got here that are returning, you've got Accursed Touch, Blood Boil, Hectic, Metamorphosis, a fan favorite, Moonrise, and the Undying. You can see a few of them here being played out.
Just in case if you forgot from Season 2.
Yeah.
Here's some of the fan favorite ones. And of course, everyone loves Metamorphosis, a huge big one.
Yep.
Being able to turn into bats, essentially evade through enemies. But as you mentioned, they're coming back as these legendary aspects, legendary powers.
Yeah, so here we're going to show you the exact text, so you can screen cap that, figure out all the exact differences between these and what's in Season 2. Largely the same, a few differences. The biggest one I think you'll see in the next screen is Metamorphosis. Obviously, it's really, really strong. So now it's coming back, but it's going to increase the cooldown of your evade.
Yeah, it's kind of like that legendary aspect we put in Season 3 that increases your armor, but also increases the duration of your evade timer.
Yes, very similar. So, you got a little bit of a kiss curse there.
Yeah, that light effect, that choice for players to choose. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, next going into what our updates are, we've got kind of our generic updates here. So the first one a lot of people have been talking about is snapshotting. We've heard a lot of cases from people they brought up where snapshotting is a thing that's been reported to us. And to give a little bit of a kind of a high level view of what snapshotting is, because not everybody is very familiar. Snapshotting is this idea that when you get a buff, let's say a damage buff, you're able to hold on to that buff for a longer duration than it would normally last if you use it on a skill that is like channeled or lasts a really, really long time. So a simple example, this would be like the Barbarian's Whirlwind. If let's say I got a 50% damage buff and it lasts for 4 seconds, if I have that buff on me the moment I channel Whirlwind, it'll keep that buff going until I cancel Whirlwind because I had it when it started. And so if I keep my Whirlwind going forever, I'll keep that 50% damage buff way beyond the normal 4-second time. If the game didn't have snapshotting, then it would just last for 4 seconds, whether or not I started Whirlwind when I had it, and that would be how long I would be doing the bonus damage. So in general, when it comes to snapshotting, we want to really remove it from the game as much as we can. It does allow for some kind of cool things, but generally snapshotting is used to do really kind of undesirable behavior, whether it's unequipping and re-equipping gear at certain times or using certain effects at certain times to get way more power than a player should normally be able to be. And it results in the things like people gathering up a ton of buffs and then like one-shotting a boss or things like that in unintuitive ways. So we've fixed every case that's been reported to us so far and will continue to, and we're going to move toward more of a systemic approach to taking it out. Also for the Gauntlet, because we know that a few people were concerned about the Gauntlet and how snapshotting would be able to work there. In the Gauntlet, your gear, the skill tree, and the Paragon board cannot be changed. So you can't do any weird things of unequipping, re-equipping legendaries or things like that to try and gain an advantage. What you bring into the Gauntlet is basically going to be locked. So it'll be a fair place for people to compete. And lastly, more generic thing, but the Rogue, we found an issue where the Weapon Mastery passive was double dipping on critical strike damage bonuses, particularly when you mixed Weapon Mastery and the Precision Key passive. Players were able to do way more damage than was intended. So that is another bug fix that is coming in this patch. All right, so next let's get into our first round of the class updates. First, we're going to start with the Seneschal construct.
Yeah, the Seneschal class.
Yeah, the Seneschal class.
Yeah.
So really, we've resolved quite a few different bugs and also reduced the power of some things that were overperforming. The first one is that when you used basically AoE buffs like the Barbarian Warcry or the Druid's Bloodhowl, the Seneschal would be double dipping in the amount of bonus that it would get in its damage bonus, so we fixed a bug there. And next we did quite a bit of updates to some of the tuning stones. The Poison Support Tuning Stone isn't going to be reapplying the base damage when it spreads. It's going to match more the functionality of other kind of damage over time tuning stones. The Bleeding and Burning Support Tuning Stones were a little bit overpowered, so we're reducing the power of those a little bit as well. And then lastly, the Tempest Governing Stone was basically resulting in a situation where you could get unlimited damage bonuses by it constantly bouncing and getting more and more and more. And so now it's no longer going to get bonus damage and duration when it spreads. It's just going to spread and do that base amount of damage. All right, so next, let's get into the class updates. So we're going to start with the Barbarian. And again, we've got stuff for every single class. Right now, I'm sure...
First bullet, very powerful.
Very powerful.
Yeah, Barbarian's pretty good right now.
As many of you, I'm sure know,
very obvious.
the Barbarian's pretty good right now. A lot of people really like Charge, it turns out. It's a really strong skill.
It's a fun skill.
Probably the biggest update you're going to see here, the next bullet point, is that we're not really planning to nerf Charge in this patch. Before, we had talked about kind of our bar for what we would consider to be too strong in the game where we would nerf in a mid-season patch. Charge is like right up there. And we talked a lot as a design team and made a call that we were going to keep it for the rest of the season. So, we know it's really, really good. It's really, really strong. A lot of people are having a lot of fun with it. We could have gone either way on this, so we're open to feedback of what the community thinks. But now with the launch of the Gauntlet, we're going to keep it in and kind of see how it rides out. We've been seeing over time that other classes have found things that are also really, really powerful too. So we're gonna try that this season and see how it goes. But in addition to that, we've got some changes coming for Barbarian. We still get feedback that a lot of their early game is kind of tough. So we're going to be buffing up a lot of their basic skills to make the early game go a little bit smoother. And then we're also doing some buffs to some underused skills and upgrades. There's some examples here. We've got Strategic Ground Stomp. The ultimate cooldown reduction is being doubled from 1 to 2 seconds. One of the Iron Skin upgrades and the upgrade for Call of the Ancients is just getting a number increase. And Gore's Devastating Grip. So this is kind of a storied history in our game. Yeah, it was really, really good when the game launched. And now we brought it down quite a bit, and now we're increasing its power a little bit again to bring back Whirlwind builds. So the ranks of Whirlwind are going up from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, and we're increasing the amount of the explosion damage a little bit there as well. So really, when it comes to what you look forward to the Barbarian, it's really everything, because we're not nerfing Charge, but also their early game and Whirlwind builds will be a little bit better as well. And again, when we're going through all these updates for the classes, this isn't everything that is going in that we're showing you. You'll be able to see the patch notes very soon, but this is just a sneak peek of some of the things that are happening. So there is a little bit more for everything, I think, than what we're showing today. So next we got the Sorceress. So Incinerate is a skill that we know people have had kind of a hard time really getting a lot of effectiveness out of. So we're increasing basically everything across the board. The damage is going up. All of its upgrades are going up. So Incinerate players should be rejoicing. We've also got quite a few buffs to Conjuration skills coming in. So for people that like using Conjurations. And then also some buffs to really generically used, underused passives and Paragon Glyphs. So really across the board, you're just going to see some buffs to various things. So here again, for Sorc players, Incinerate and really Conjurations are the things that you have to look forward to. And next we've got the Druid, who's got quite a few powerful things coming. So similar to the Barbarian, the Druids, we've gotten feedback that they kind of, they have a really, really strong late game, but their early game getting there can be a little bit tedious to go. So we're buffing a lot of their basic skills. We gave an example here for the Druid with Wind Shear. So you can see here the Spirit generation is going up, the damage is being increased, and the Wild Wind Shear upgrade, which gives you more Spirit when you hit enemies, is also going up. So really just better resource management in the early game. And then Companion Druid. So we could pretty consistently hear for players that they really want to make a companion build really work and feel good. So we've got some damage buffs across the board for all of the companions, particularly Wolves is getting quite a bit stronger. But we've got things for Wolves, Poison Creeper, and Ravens. And then we've got some additional buffs to some underused passives. And then last but not least, the Storm's Companion unique. So this is the one that makes your Wolves howl when they do some lightning damage in an AoE. The ranks of Wolves that you're getting is going to be increased from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And then also the Storm Howl damage, that damage that happens when the lightning bolts come down, is being increased by a lot. And so you could see here...
Enhance. Yeah.
Yeah, so before I was doing in this example at this level 100 to maybe 400 damage, 150 to 400. And now it's going to be doing closer to 8 to 1300 damage per strike. And these things strike multiple times too, and in an AoE. So it's actually quite a bit of an increase. So really, as far as Druids, your early game will feel better for pretty much every build, and then Companions, and especially Wolves, are going to be quite a bit more powerful. Next, we've got the Rogue. So we've got Heartseeker and Force Foyer, their attack speeds are being increased. So, when it comes to basic skills, a lot of people gravitate to Puncture. It's really, really strong, it applies vulnerable, but also you're able to stutter step, and it feels really good when you cast it.
And you're just throwing knives.
Yes, and knife throwing is cool. Rad. I can't give everyone knives on every skill, but I also think arrows are kind of cool.
I just think there's areas for improvement. So knives and everything.
Maybe knives on the arrows? I don't know. But anyways, as far as how it feels to use, the 2 arrow skills should feel exactly the same as Puncture as far as how you're able to stutter step, how quickly you're able to cast them. They've been made to match. And then we also heard some feedback that Flurry isn't really feeling as good compared to the other core skills, so we're increasing its damage. And then we're also improving the functionality of both of its upgrades. They're just going to be a little bit more usable. And then Precision, everybody's favorite new change in Season 3. We're actually going to be reducing the stacks required for bonuses from 6 to 4. So this is a buff to Precision. It's really meant to help with actually the rhythm and the way that you feel when you cast it, that how often you get the proc should just feel a little bit better to use when you're using it in combination with other skills. And then last but not least, we got the aspect of branching volleys. We're kind of redesigning or upgrading this legendary quite a bit. This is with barrage. When your barrage arrows bounce, they do more damage, but now we're actually adding a little bit more to it. So you can see here on the left is kind of the old version, which basically said that your arrows had a chance to split into 2 arrows whenever they ricochet. And, oh, I love that zoom in.
Oh, yeah.
So now on the right, firstly, it's going to increase just the base damage of ricocheting arrows from barrage. And then also they still keep that chance to split into 2, but that chance has also been increased by quite a bit.
Yeah.
So really this legendary just wasn't very powerful or being used very much, and now it should be quite a bit better. So yeah, as far as things to look forward to, really range builds I think are going to feel pretty good, and then flurry as well is getting quite a big increase. And last but not least, we have the Necromancer, and we have a lot to cover here with Necromancer, so hold on to your butts here. So first we got minion buffs.
One block, just minion buffs.
Giant block of text here. So really their damage is being increased by about 20% just across all minions. Their health is going up by about 10%. A lot of their passives here you can see are being increased. We've got Hellbent Commander, Cult Leader. Corporeal is a pretty big one, I think, that you'll be able to look forward to. So before it was that you and your minions just deal increased physical damage. Now it's also going to be giving you increased move speed for every active minion.
Yes.
So,
Necromancers rejoice.
Minion builds will be catching up with their army and vice versa as they go through the game. We also fixed an issue with Skeletal Reapers where they were spawning too few corpses, so now they're going to be giving a lot more corpses when you take that upgrade. And also just talking about minions a little bit. Minions is one of our big priorities to kind of feel really good. We think that the issue with minions is not just that they're not dealing enough damage, but also we want to increase kind of the cool factor and the way that you engage with them, particularly the golem. So we do have quite a bit more coming in Season 4 that I wanted to let everybody know about. But this is kind of a little bit of a taste of what we plan to do with minions.
The initial volley of changes.
The initial volley of changes, yes. Yeah. We have a lot coming in Season 4 in addition to this. And then next, we've got also buffs and functionality adjustments to a bunch of other things. One example here with a passive is Spiked Armor. And it kind of makes sense that it would give you armor. So now it's also going to give you armor in addition to thorns. Death's Reach is a passive that we're redesigning completely. It used to be that you dealt more damage to enemies that are far away. Now we're changing it to be Death's Advance, which really just gives you move speed. So now, generically, Necromancer players will have a way to just put 3 points in a passive and gain additional move speed more than other classes.
That'd be great, yeah.
And then we've also got some core skill buffs, particularly to Blight, Blood Surge, and Sever. There's some number buffs, and I think even some functionality and other tweaks to make the bulk of them feel a lot better. So really, when it comes to Necromancer players, movement speed is the name of the game here, and also minion builds should feel quite a bit better than before. And lastly, we wanted to talk with you all a little bit about how we do our updates and the timing of them. We've run into a issue, not really an issue, but a situation that happens pretty commonly. So normally when we think about updates, in our last live stream, we talked about how, we kind of made a promise with you that at the start of every season, every class was going to get at least one new legendary and one new unique. And what happens sometimes is we'll have a new legendary or a new unique in the pipe, and we have a cool idea, we've made a new design for something, like I'll give an example, let's say Fireball Sorcerer, right? We have a really cool new legendary for Fireball Sorcerer that we've put in, we've play tested it, it's ready to go, but we don't have a new legendary for every other class to go with it, right? And we kind of run into the situation where we have to decide, is it okay to put something into the game when one class will get more than other classes, right? We tend to try and keep things mostly equal when it comes to these updates. And so we kind of wanted to hear your feedback a little bit of would you be okay and would it be cool with the community if when we have more than the equal amount of other classes of updates to do, that we just put them in when they're ready, or should we wait until everybody kind of has parity on things? The other situation where this comes up quite a bit is where we know that a build really needs some help. I'll use Frozen Orb as an example, right? Where Frozen Orb, we want to make a new playstyle for Frozen Orb, and we want to add 2 legendaries and a unique to really make this thing sing, right? Just adding one power isn't enough to make this whole playstyle work. And so would it be okay if, you see in the patch notes in the season that Sorcerer gets, 2 uniques and 4 legendaries and everybody else just gets 1, but we've enabled this really cool thing, or do you think it's smarter for us to just kind of wait until every class can get a cool new thing of that equivalent amount of stuff coming into the game? So, you know, we're open to feedback here. We're going to be looking at, you know, Reddit and forums and other places, kind of what you think. But we're kind of leaning towards just putting things in when they're ready. But we wanted to turn this into a conversation and let you, the community, kind of have your voice as well.
Yeah.
How you want us to put these things in.
Get some feedback. We're interested in this.
Yeah. So post live stream, or I know we know that the conversations will come up regarding this specific topic, and so we'll be looking around and kind of gathering community feedback on like what you guys prefer, and kind of going with that, you know, and listening in on what you guys actually want us to do. So please chime into different conversations that you guys see related to that topic, because we'll most definitely be checking it out and paying attention. So. And this is just a small, as Adam mentioned, this is just a small piece of what we're actually including in the mid-season update. The full patch notes are actually going to be out tomorrow. So we'll end up posting all those before the weekend, and players can check out the full entire patch notes. And of course, this mid-season update includes all the vampiric powers. It also includes Gauntlet, which we're about to showcase here. So it's a pretty beefy mid-season update. And just to remind people as well, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's a lot of changes in this mid-season update. What we talked about at the beginning of Season 3 is like the cadence of how we plan on doing these updates. You know, we plan on doing pretty significant changes, of course, at the start of a season, because it's a brand new season, so it makes sense there. And then, you know, we take the time to evaluate, and then we make pretty significant changes in mid-season updates as well, based off of feedback that we saw since the start of the season. And of course, you know, once we get into a new season, things change again, and, you know, meta changes and class balance changes occur then. So players can expect to see that there. There is the rare occurrence, as like, for instance, that, you know, we'll be monitoring feedback if something does come up that is like absolutely like breaking or whatever, that we may end up making a tweak on based off of community feedback. But that is typically the cadence that we had talked about at the beginning of the season. And we just want to remind players, like, you can always expect these big moments during the beginning and the middle part of the season for itself.
Correct, yeah.
Awesome. So the next thing we did want to talk about is the Gauntlet. You know, this is a long anticipated feature. It is the leaderboard feature, essentially, within Diablo 4. And we actually have a cool like showcase that we want to show you guys here. We have 3 different devs that are.
We're going to show you a showcase.
We're going to show you a showcase.
Just this once.
Showcase. But we have 3 different devs that are going to be joining us, and they're going to be running through their build specifically through the Gauntlet itself. And we are joined by 2 Diablo partners, 2 Diablo content creators, who are going to be commentating through this. This is Anna Cake Live and Macro Bioboy. Thank you guys very much for helping us out here. And our 3 devs are going to be, of course, from like here within Irvine, so they'll be playing live here within the studio.
Irvine, California.
Irvine, California.
Yep.
And so we actually have John Constable, who is on the engineering team here for Diablo 4. We have Liam Kerr, who's a associate class designer on the design team here for Diablo 4. And we have Steven Stewart, who some people may recognize as Leviathan, a former Diablo content creator, or maybe still a Diablo content creator. He's like behind the camera, I don't know, who will also be running through his build through the Gauntlet, so you guys can actually check it out. But what we do want to do is we do want to hand it off to Anna Cake Live and Macro Bioboy, who will be running us through some of this Gauntlet stuff, and then we'll come back and we'll give you guys a few little updates about Season 4 and do some Q&A. So, Macro, Anna, take it away.
Thank you so much, Adam. Hi, everyone. I am Anna Cake Live, and I'm incredibly happy to be here today. And together with my friend Macro, I'm happy to first time see and comment on the showcase of the Gauntlet.
Hi, everybody. I'm Macro Bioboy. I'm your friendly neighborhood necromancer. Yeah, Anna, this is wildly exciting. It's so great that the players finally get to get their eyes on what we're going to be expecting coming out next week. We have the Gauntlet Showcase, 3 amazing developers. These people, they're going to show you all the stops, and we're going to be able to help to kind of bridge the gap, bring you some of that information about the mechanics that are going on, what you're actually seeing, and what you can expect as well. So it looks like, first off, and I'm already incredibly excited for this because you know I'm a Necro boy here, we're going to be showcasing Liam Kerr on the Bone Spear Necromancer. This is like the build I'm the most excited for, and it looks like we're actually all set to hop right in. So let's go ahead and give him a second to hop into the gameplay here.
Here we go. And guys, we just started the Gauntlet. The first thing that we see the boss, and we just skipped the boss. The Necromancer is just running, skipping the boss, proceeding into the dungeon, and apparently trying to get... I already see here is the first shrine. Macro, tell me something about this shrine and about this Necromancer. I know that you definitely want to share with us everything that we need to know about this Necro.
Absolutely. So before I get too deep into the Necromancer, let's basically just talk about what you're looking at in the Gauntlet. We have 8 minutes to get the highest score possible. Every monster that you kill, every boss that you kill, as well as some chests that we're going to see later on, are going to be dropping proofs of might. This is basically what you're getting, that teal score there on the right side. And it's speed, utility, and strategy is what we care about the most here. Monsters are going to be level 124, so this is similar to a Nightmare Dungeon 70 in difficulty. That means that you don't have to worry as much about survivability or crazy damage numbers. You need to be doing just enough to be able to kill things as you run and gun. Specifically to your question about the pillars that we're seeing here, these unique shrines in the Gauntlet itself, we have 2 new additions to the game. One is going to be a shrine that's going to respawn all of the monsters in the dungeon. That's right, it's not just about getting through the dungeon as fast as possible, it's about getting through it multiple times over. Secondly, we have another shrine which is actually going to increase how much score you get whenever you complete any of those objectives that I just saw. And then right there, we actually have the return of normal shrines as well. These are going to be dropping off the bosses. Anna, what can you tell us more about these shrines and what people need to worry about strategizing with them?
Oh yeah, that's the whole this Gauntlet. It's all about the strategy. The shrines gonna be always the same. They're gonna appear in the same places, and the shrines that gonna be dropping from the bosses that also will be the same. Then you need to plan your trip through the Gauntlet. Are you gonna kill the boss? Are you planning to use those shrines? When are you planning to use those shrines? Once again, the shrines, the special shrines from this Gauntlet, they will be either resetting all the monsters in the dungeon, and here we see our Necromancer just killed the boss first time, resetted this boss, and he's going back and killing him again and getting a lot of proofs of might, increasing his score. By the way, Necromancer current score is already 58k. We are going not bad. We are progressing further in the dungeon. The map will always stay the same in this dungeon. It will stay the same for a week, so you can plan your path. You can always choose your way how you will be progressing in this dungeon. And here we see the second shrine, the second pylon our Necromancer touched.
So to talk a little bit more about the Bone Spear Necromancer, because I could go on and on and on about this build, I think this is basically going to be everybody's first attempt at what the best meta approach to this content is. Bone Spear has a lot of great mobility as well as ability to spread damage across the battlefield. So whether you're running past monsters and gunning back behind you, kind of training monsters along, players of Diablo 3 would have seen similar strategies in Greater Rifts, kind of bringing all of your monsters together before you waste any time actually killing them. But whether or not you're just front-loading all of your damage and blasting through bosses so that you have that shrine moving forward. Like here we have the Blast Wave Shrine, right? This basically means that the Necromancer will be able to kill as they run, not worrying about having to spend any animation time actually casting their spells themselves. And I think that this is something that people are going to want to really tune into. Not only is the Gauntlet the same every single week, so literally every monster is going to be in the exact same place. Every time that you kill a monster that drops one of the keys, those are going to be in the exact same place too. So like I said before, it's not just about doing a lot of damage, being very fast. It's about picking every single time you spend any time at all, casting a skill, doing damage, or moving. And I definitely think that Bone Spear Necromancer is uniquely positioned in this way to be able to keep that constant momentum in damage output.
Your Necromancer is doing absolutely stunning, really good. Current score we have 141k. We are going absolutely not bad. And guys, you can see in the corner there are the keys. We don't have yet any keys, but hopefully we're gonna get them soon. You probably also saw that in this dungeon there are special chests. White chests, and a little bit later I think we're gonna see also yellow chests. The chests, obviously, they have a lot of proof of mights. They're helping you to increase your total score. To get the keys, you need to kill some special monsters. The monsters are staying the same, but when you're entering the dungeon, you don't know which monster it is. You will also have to first run a couple of times through the dungeons, kill all the monsters, find out who is actually dropping the key, and probably focus on those monsters. Also, keep in mind that you need probably kill them, couple of them, to be able to open the chests. By the way, we went right back to the beginning of the dungeon, and probably our Necromancer now decided to finish our first boss, our Tom Lord, that is waiting here. We have
It's really
2
important
minutes,
to-
30 seconds left. 30 seconds left.
It's really important to recognize that too. So the Tomb Lord is a boss that is notorious for moving. And if you're a boss that moves, you're basically the antithesis of a Bone Spear Necro. It wants to keep you in a very specific place. So maybe it's not kill every single pack of monsters. Maybe it's not whittle down every single boss as you go. Since you know where the ones that are going to be the easiest for you to take out, you can make that part of your overall strategy. And running through these sections again and again, getting as much score as possible. Probably the best part about all of this, and it's something that like you might not have picked up on immediately, you notice that every single time you kill a monster, like we just saw there, the score automatically flies into you. So this isn't like running a normal dungeon where you have to go back and pick up those 2 veiled crystals that you happen to notice drop. Your only concern is running through this at breakneck speed, killing demons as you go. And the automatic pickup of score, the ability to know exactly where everything is, having that map fully explored, and then eventually memorizing it as the week goes on, means that players are going to continue to get higher and higher scores as we optimize our builds and as we bring better strategies and better timing, better routes through this. It really calls back to my speedrunning history in Diablo 2 and a little bit in Diablo 4, where every one of these little decisions that you're making could be the difference between ranking top 1 on the leaderboards or just barely cracking through to that top 1,000. But we're honestly seeing a really great showing from the Necromancer here. We have 1 minute left. We've just about cracked 200,000 score. This is actually pretty impressive for this build. I think that Liam's doing a fantastic job showcasing what I think most Necro players' first experience is going to be walking into this content.
Oh, I can hear that you're proud for your Necromancer. And guys, we just entered the room. Guys, you saw that there were a lot of chests, but still don't have the keys. And Necromancer need to go through the dungeon, search for the keys, probably search for the shrines, probably reset. The winning strategy here would be resetting the monsters once again, and probably you cannot open the chest, but you will be able to kill a lot of monsters and also increase the total amount, your current score. We are almost reaching 200k, really close, and we have 10 seconds left. Looks good.
Awesome.
Looks really, really good for our Necromancer.
Come on,
See,
Necro,
guys,
get over
five.
200k. Oh, and this is one of the issues that you run into. You know, if you've already cleared out that
almost.
part of the dungeon, going back through it and kill, you know, there's no more monsters for you to kill. But a great showing from the Necromancer. And can you tell me a little bit more about the screen that we're looking at right here?
We are looking on our total results screen. You can see here your total score. You can see here the amount of monsters that you killed, all the elite monsters that you killed, and all the bosses that you defeated, all the information. And you also can see the information about what you reached, which seal you reached. And our Necromancer, yep, Macro was absolutely right here. Our Necromancer was showing insanely good gameplay, Seal of the Worthy. This is the highest seal that you can reach as a player. Tell us more about the seals, what you can say. I know that there are 4 of them. How are they going to work?
So you start all the way down from Seal of the Blooded and then all the way up to Seal of the Worthy. What this basically means is that just running through the Gauntlet at all is going to get you that first seal, but you're going to have to crack through higher and higher amounts of total score to rank up to the highest seal. The reason why you want to do that, it's not just bragging rights, as much as the majority of this truly is, but at the end of the week, not only are you going to get a cash just for running the Gauntlet every time, you know, a small amount of items just to say like, hey, good job, you spent your time. But on top of that, if you actually reach the end of the week and you've reached the Seal of the Worthy, you're going to get all of the caches for the 4 seals below that. You're going to get automatic 925 item power that can be ancestral legendaries. It can even increase all the way up to a unique. So it's a much better incentive for people who don't just care about the ego part of it. You know, they're like, hey, I participate. I want to get something out of it. You do too. And being able to get that loot at the end of the week is that nice little cherry on top.
Yeah, and I think that we are ready for our second player. We're going to be joined really, really soon by the Ball Lightning Sorceress, guys. John Constable, Senior Gameplay Engineer, going to be showing us the Sorceress gameplay, the Sorceress Gauntlet. Let's go. I hope. Here we are. We are starting, guys. We are entering once again our Gauntlet. Once again, guys, the same map, the same big boss is waiting for you right in the end. Also, our sorceress choosing the same gameplay, the same decision was made, skipping the first boss, moving further into the dungeon, trying to get the second boss, probably some pillars. That's an interesting strategy here. And guys, this is a ball lightning sorceress. This is community beloved build that in Season 2, I don't know, absolutely everyone was playing ball lightning sorceress. But I don't know. Probably now everyone will be playing Incinerate Sorceress because Incinerate was buff. But yeah, here we have Ball Lightning, and Ball Lightning using Tal Rush's Ring to buff your Ball Lightning damage with the power of the multiple elements. Yep. Here we go. One more boss is here.
The best part about, I mean, there's going to be strengths and weaknesses to every build, right? You're probably going to end up seeing a meta where there are builds that only care about clearing out the trash, that are primarily focused on getting those bosses dead and getting those shrines, because the shrines are going to give you power, obviously. They're also going to give you movement speed. I wouldn't be surprised if sneaking in some shrine duration buff onto either your amulet or your boots ends up being really powerful in the Gauntlet here. That's a quick little pro tip from your boy. But there's not necessarily one right way to do this. On top of that, every class, every ladder that you're in is actually judged individually. So the necromancers are going to be judged against other necromancers, sorceresses against other sorceresses, so on and so forth. So where some builds may not have the mobility, but they have the boss kill speed, or maybe they have the density clearing, but not the mobility, the exact strategy for each individual class is going to really make or break what ends up being the meta for the Gauntlet, which is one of the things that I think is the most interesting about this. Whereas things like the Abattoir of Zir really just pushed us to the question of how do you do the most damage and survive the most damage, here some of those considerations aren't really as important. We're playing a different game at this point. But the Ball Lightning Sorceress, like amazing mobility, great density clearing. You notice that slowed down a little bit against that boss though. Depending on the scenario, this might be one of those builds where you basically ignore the bosses whenever possible, unless they have a particularly juicy shrine that you really want to be able to use moving through. But here we have the increased favor drops. We got the reset there, so he's actually able to pop right back into that room where he just got a shrine, kill this boss again. It's just really interesting to see what kind of meta is going to develop as we get further and further into the season.
Yeah, here we see. Actually, yeah, our sorceress is going pretty good on the bosses. Probably, yeah, it's worth it to stay here, again, to spam the pylon and to use the power of the pylon. And guys, gonna tell you a little secret. You better not die in the Gauntlet. Hardcore players, yeah, I understand, but for softcore players, if you're gonna die, you're gonna lose the third of your score. You're gonna respawn in the dungeon. You will be able to pick up your score, but only if you will run back to the place where you died. And yeah, this is again, you're wasting way too much time if you're dying in the Gauntlet. Here, once again, our sorceress, by the way, current score of our sorceress is 1k, a little bit, we just reached 1k, going really good. Progressing further and further into the dungeon, one more pylon is waiting for us, and I want the chest, I want someone to finally open the chest. But yeah, so far, no one can get the key. The keys are quite rare, only special monsters are dropping them. Here we go. 4 minutes left.
Yeah, so just over the halfway point, it does look like the sorceress, their natural mobility, I mean, she could teleport, right? That's obviously going to go a little bit faster than somebody running on their two legs, but already doing a really good showing. We're definitely going to crack over that 200k, probably closer to like maybe 300, depending on whether or not he turns on the turbo boosters here. But you're talking about those keys, and maybe I'm just going to spitball this while we're watching here. My mind's kind of already going crazy, theory crafting, trying to figure out what's going to be the best way here. But to be able to open up these chests, like you said, you have to kill specific monsters in the dungeon. They will drop the key. Now, there's the regular chest, there's a golden chest. Obviously, big gold chest, worth more points. But the interesting part here is that how valuable is that for you in your current route is going to completely depend on where you went first. Do you zerg your way all the way up to that key, knowing that you passed by a gold chest in your typical, fully optimized route? Or is that just not part of your strategy at all? There's an interesting dichotomy there where it's just like, depending on where the keys are spawning on the monsters in that week's Gauntlet, maybe they are huge, maybe they're pivotal to how you can actually get the highest score possible, or you kind of have to make the decision a couple of seconds left in your run. You're like, hey, I got 1 or 2 keys. I see a couple normal chests coming up. I know I'm not going to be able to reach the gold chests since those are in the same spots as well. I'm going to make that mad dash. I'm going to get back up into there, get those 2 little chests. Sure, that's like good enough for me on this run. But being able to make those decisions in the heat of the moment, or at least at first, when everybody doesn't necessarily have their best route already mapped out at that point, is going to be where those like small little spikes in score. I'm really, really excited to see the leaderboard as it develops. Obviously, you're going to be able to see the actual builds that people are bringing into the Gauntlet on that same leaderboard, but you're not necessarily going to know how they ran through it, how they prioritize killing bosses versus the elites, etc. So there's still going to be a little bit of mystery, but at the very least, you'll be able to copy the build if you can at least see the gear that they have.
I think there's going to be a lot of mystery. Actually, how we see it right now, it's really a lot about your strategy and not that much. Yeah, your build obviously will be super important. How quick are you? How quick you can kill the big groups of monsters? How quick you can kill the bosses? But your strategy, I think this will be the key. Your path through this dungeon, this will be deciding. And yes, the leaderboard will be moving from day 1, and then the very last day, someone gonna sneak in and will be the top of the leaderboard. Yep, interesting times ahead. Our sorceress, guys, closing almost 200k, and we entered this beautiful room with a lot of chests. We had 2 keys. We opened 1 chest. We opened the 2nd chest. We are getting a lot of points. We are really, really close to 200k, and we are moving forward. White chest and yellow chest, they both actually cost only 1 key to open. But obviously, the yellow chests, they are bigger, they are shiny, they are giving you way, way more points. So, yeah, you need to focus, you need to prioritize if you can, you need to prioritize the yellow chests. We reached 208k, 43 seconds left.
The other thing that I just really want to hammer on here is, again, so this Sorceress's score, although it's going to be a little bit higher than the Necros that we just saw, not by a country mile or anything, but this score is insular to this one leaderboard. The Sorceress's score is only going to be compared against everybody else running the Sorceress. While you can check your ego and check against the other Necromancers, that has no impact at all looking at any other class about how you're going to rank in that leaderboard, whether or not you're going to be immortalized in the halls forever if you hit that top 10 rank. But on top of that, it's not going to impact this, the rewards that you get or anything like that. You just need to worry about what every other sorceress in this game is doing. If you're in a party, you only need to worry about what those other party sizes are doing. It's probably my favorite part about this. While there's going to be differences between the classes, I only need to worry about my class. But perfect. Sorry, I was gamering on here. We got another Seal of the Worthy completion, over 200k score, 7 bosses, 39 elite monsters, 674 monsters. If I could ask for anything, I'd love to see these kind of stats basically at the end of all content in the game. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but seeing those numbers itches some really good part in my min-max brain there.
Yeah, it's really, really nice to see actually what I accomplished, how many poor demonic souls I sent back to hell. Yeah, I can understand. And we got the reward immediately after each time when you're entering the Gauntlet, you're going to be getting a small reward, and you're going to be getting a big reward in the end of each week, depending which seal you reached. I think we are preparing our 3rd player. We're preparing Leviathan. He's almost ready. He's going to be joining us with a Barbarian, with a Hota charge Barb. I know everyone want to see it, so he's gonna be crashing it really, really soon. Yeah,
charge Hoda Barb. That is that's good. That's going to be season 3. Season 3 is going to be Charge Hoda Barb. We could just put that up on a banner somewhere. We could take down the construct symbol and just put Charge Hoda smashing through the game. No, but Leviathan is an absolute legend from the community. Fun fact about Leviathan: we actually lived in the same city for a grip, and we just never got the chance to actually sync up. But just like you, we were able to meet him at BlizzCon. He's a phenomenal dude. Shout outs to Leviathan. But it looks like we're actually ready. So let's go ahead and hop into it.
Yep.
Enough sharing, anecdotal stories. Let's see this Hoda Barb. Big boy, big sword.
Let's see.
I'm excited for this.
Let's see. Yep.
Just doing Hoda Barb things. No, he decided that
Yep.
15 million overpower was the way he wanted to approach this scenario. But the charge Hoda Barb, so this is, I think this is kind of like the apex predator of this type of content. We are working with a mobility skill in charge that's also going to be able to clear the trash for you. You have giant Hoda smashes so you can bring down bosses quickly, as long as he has all of his buffs going up. And basically being able to meld these two concepts together is what every class build strategy is ultimately going to have to look for. You know, maybe you're running double mobility aspects, both one on your boots and one on your amulet, as opposed to worrying about putting another damage aspect there. Because again, remember, these monsters are only level 124. It means that they're 30 levels lower than any tier 100 content you're doing. And I figured this guy was about to get two-shot, but he's giving up a little bit more of a fight here. Let's see. There we go, Leviathan. GG. Big channeling shrine, more mobility, not worrying about resource. This is what we're looking for in Gauntlet content. This power. Jeez. All right, calm down. We need something to be able to talk about here, Leviathan, my boy.
No, he's absolutely smashing, he's absolutely destroying, but like this, if you're not gonna plan, you're gonna soon run out of the monsters. You need to focus on where actually the shrines that are resummoning the monsters are. And yeah, hopefully he has the plan. Yep, he's absolutely flying through this dungeon, picking up everything. His score already 64k, quite insane. And yeah, I believe in our Leviathan. Leviathan, by the way, he was one of the best demon hunters that there is in Diablo 3 back in the days. And now, and absolutely understandable why he's smashing also on this barbarian here. And what is also really, really cool, that you need to obviously memorize the map, you need to memorize where all the monsters are, you need to memorize where the shrines are. What we have here, apparently all the shrines that are resummoning the monsters, the shrines that are giving you also extra score, they're located mostly in one part of the dungeon, and the chests are located in the other part of the dungeon. So yeah, guys, there's going to be a lot of planning, a lot of strategizing here.
Something interesting to note. All right, I'm going to get a little bit deep on details here, because I assume most people haven't studied how shrines work in this game enough to know the numbers off the top of their head. But basically what you're looking at is a 30-second buff that is also going to give you 35% movement speed. The cool part about shrines is that each one of them can layer on top with other unique shrines. So you could have a channeling shrine, as well as a blast wave shrine, as well as an artillery shrine, etc., etc. But getting the same shrine again doesn't actually do anything for you. While it's going to reset that 30-second timer, it's not like you have double blast wave and double movement speed. So when we saw that loop where he actually came back through and immediately killed that boss again, while it makes sense, he knows it's there, he knows it's worth a lot of good score, that doesn't necessarily mean he got the total benefit out of that single shrine. And being able to basically lily hop, or frog hop over these shrines, always maintaining at least one constant buff for them, might be a way of being able to add on mobility to a build that doesn't normally have it. So maybe you're a huge boss killer, but you can't fit mobility anywhere. As long as you can plan out how often you get these shrines, you could effectively link together a full 8 minutes of shrine buff, maybe even longer. There's so many things that you could be picking out of here, right? Stopping at individual little monster packs to make sure that you're maintaining your buffs. So even if you're not necessarily killing them, or they're not high value, you know that you're going to be operating at maximum efficiency when you walk into the next room, where we always will know there will be an elite monster, or there will always be a boss monster in one of these tiles here. My brain is going crazy right now. The more that I see from this content, it's just like so exciting to have something to really strive for in this game, right? We got the gear, we finished all of our farming, all of our grinding. What do we do with it? Well, here's what we do with it. Now we actually have something to test those builds, to re-theory craft on top of. Not to mention all the changes coming in this patch alone. I'm gonna have to rethink all of the builds I was expecting to be able to bring into here and test them. That's probably the biggest chagrin I got is, geez, I got to come up with all brand new builds to incorporate the vampire powers, as well as whatever changes actually come to the core skills themselves as well.
I can hear that Macro is starting theory crafting already right now. He's already tagged here, I'm turning left, here I'm turning right, here I'm touching this. We're already in the process of creating the guide how to do it. Our Barbarian, 217k total amount of proofs of might, going really, really strong. It was actually really, really cool. We were already saying that every character has the separate leaderboard. Also, every character, the amount of score, the total score, the amount proofs of worth that you need to earn to be able to reach different seals, also different for different characters. And this is absolutely amazing because you don't have to compete with different classes in absolutely any way. And this is great. You also have 2-place leaderboard, 3-place leaderboard, 4-place leaderboard. In total, together with the hardcore, we're getting 16 leaderboards here. It's amazing. And it's all coming already next week. There are gonna be a lot of fun here. Leviathan is moving really, really quick. We have 2 minutes left. We are hitting 236k. He is going on the second run. Basically, he is going again, repeating again his run, but he resetted all the monsters. He has here really, really good choice. He did really good choices, and he had really good chances.
That's a secret substat that I wish we could see on this board. How many total miles or kilometers have you run through this individual gauntlet? Because I'm pretty sure Leviathan has cleared this thing out already 3 times over, and he's still got a cool 1.5 minutes left on the timer here. Definitely going to crack over 300k as long as he doesn't hit a dry patch where nothing had been respawned yet. But, I mean, the dude's great at what he does. There's a reason why you anchor him here, being able to show off the best of the best. And the other interesting part, something that we didn't quite touch on, is you don't just get the rewards from one ladder. There's nothing stopping you from going and doing this on your Barbarian, doing this on your alternate Necromancer, doing this in multiple group types. You could theoretically hit the top of every single ladder. If you're, a crazy master grinder like Wudijo, maybe you go crack softcore and hardcore ladder too. Why not? There's nothing stopping you from competing in as many of these arenas as you have builds to be able to support that competitive nature. I'm only going to worry about the Necromancer. I don't have it in my brain to think about a single other class with how much I need to worry about theory crafting this one. But I'm wondering who's going to be able to collect the most top leaderboard spots, eating them all up.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the new community challenge. Be able to be #1 on 16 leaderboards. Okay, I'm wondering who that's gonna be now when this content actually will be in the game. We have, guys, a little bit more than 10 seconds left. We're gonna hit 300k. I'm pretty sure.
300k,
boy. Come on, find
that's what we need to see.
Someone.
He did too good. He killed everything already. Oh,
almost.
So close, boss.
So close.
Let's see these numbers though.
298k.
That's crazy. 81 monsters, 53 elites, 9 bosses. Obviously the most that we saw out of any showing, but phenomenal job here by Leviathan. As always, it's exactly what we expected from him.
Yep, had absolutely zero doubts. Macro, I must say, I'm really, really excited, and I really like that you can get not only the rewards that we're getting, it's a weekly activity. We're getting the new map absolutely every single week, and we're getting the rewards in the end of every single week. We're also getting the rewards after every single run. And yep, I'm happy that the people who are probably not seduced by the leaderboards will be anyway tempted to try it and to see maybe the leaderboard, maybe the Gauntlet is something for them. Interesting. Really, really excited about what's waiting for us in the next week. What are you excited about the Gauntlet content?
I mean, if I had to pick just one thing, it really comes down to this idea of developing a strategy over a week. We realize, right, as content creators, as streamers, we have a bit of privilege here. The funny part being that everybody is going to be able to watch your strategies. If you're making videos about it, if you're going over strategies, discussing it, basically it's out there. It's open for people to be able to see. So being able to come up with these, maybe a little secret strategy, maybe you save it till just the last couple days and you actually finally test it out. That's probably what's going to be the most exciting for me. It's just this idea of it's not just about damage. It's not just about stats on your gear. It's how good of a plan can you actually create, and how well can you execute on it, which truly tests the player's skill in a way that the other content in the game just currently doesn't offer. But I think that's just going to go ahead and do it for us. This has been such a pleasure, Anna. Thank you very much for sharing this with me. I hope that everybody really enjoyed what they saw here.
I actually hope so too. And yeah, macro theory crafter here, absolutely. Had zero doubts that you're going to say this. Guys, it was an incredible pleasure to be here. I am Yop, was really, really happy to comment on our first Gauntlet. I'm Anna Cake Live. I don't know, follow, like, and subscribe. And Macro, you want to say something? You want to add something?
Yeah. And again, my name is Macrobioboy. Macrobioboy on everything. If you care, see me go try to smash the Necker through this gauntlet. Thank you again to everybody. It was an absolute honor here. I think we're going to go ahead and throw it back to Adam and everybody in the studio. Hope that everybody enjoyed seeing the gauntlet, and I can't wait to see you all out there next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Macro, Anna, for taking us through that. Of course, our 3 volunteers from the dev team. We got John, we got Steven, and Liam for running through.
Yeah, everybody great.
Steven actually hit, actually all of them hit higher scores than they did when we were first running through this.
They did.
They were learning they were learning the dungeon because, again, with Gauntlet, it is a weekly dungeon that does get changed over.
It's fixed. I mean, every spawn, every creature that you come through, every chest location, every key drop, like every boss, every shrine, it's all fixed every time you do the runs, and that's what allows you to have that sense of like, okay, I know a little bit more about this space now. I can run it again. I'll do a little bit better.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I know with we saw some questions of like players, are going like, hey, because we have 3 different classes here, and again, they're all on their own unique leaderboards themselves.
Yeah, every class has its own unique leaderboard. So when you're playing, Charged Barbarian for the season, you're playing against other barbarians, for on the leaderboard. But we also have 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player leaderboards as well for players who want to get into parties and try to compete. So we think that's going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah. And then I know in regards to rewards and stuff, like depending on the seal that you get, you'll actually get more caches, and the caches themselves offer up a 925 like ancestral that I believe is in each cache. So I believe if you get a seal of the worthy, you end up getting 4 each time. And these aren't exactly like the idea of Gauntlet itself is really aspirational. So there are opportunities for players themselves to, of course, earn themselves into the Hall of the Ancients each week, and then you're kind of added onto a permanent record, you could say, put it on your resume type of thing, of for forever for each week in the Hall of the Ancients, depending on where you actually land on the leaderboards.
Yeah, we don't really want to see the Gauntlet and the Trials feature as a place where players go to try to get gear for their builds. Really more of a place where players are going to go once they've got like really good builds put together to kind of try things out. But yeah, for players who do manage to clear, for every seal that they manage to complete at the end of the week, based on their highest ranking, they're going to get a cache that you called out. And there's a high chance of unique items actually appearing in these caches as well. So you can get 925 uniques out of these. But again, these are really like, more augmenting other things you've been collecting over the course of the season, not like being the primary reason that you're going to the space in the first place.
Yeah, and we actually have a blog that's going up after the stream that actually details out all the information in the Gauntlet, including some other rewards as well for players that hit like the really, really high ranks of, where they can potentially earn some cosmetic items as well for Gauntlet. So Gauntlet, again, hitting next Tuesday. And I know for like the first couple weeks, we want to make sure that players are jumping in, trying it out, especially with these new changes that are coming with the mid-season update, the vampiric powers and everything like that. And then, let us know what you guys think. And then post up feedback on, Reddit, forums, social media. We're going to be checking it out for Gauntlet, making any tweaks if we need to make any tweaks. And then I know we actually have a cool contest that's coming up here, starting on that's tied back to Gauntlet. It's actually starting on March 19th. We're calling it Leaderboard Legends. But the top players in each of the leaderboards, and there are again leaderboards for all the different classes, for all solo, and at the same time for hardcore as well. So if you play in hardcore and if you die in a Gauntlet, your character's gone. It is hardcore for that reason. So, but we will have opportunities for players to actually earn an exclusive art print from an artist named Mika Ulrich. He's a huge Diablo fan. He actually is making a customized art print. That contest itself will be running for 2 weeks. So we'll have more information on that contest as we get closer to March 19th, but players that do compete on the leaderboards, they'll have the opportunity of actually earning a exclusive like customized art print as well, which is actually pretty cool. So Gauntlet shipping next Tuesday, and it'll be in our mid-season patch notes that we have going up tomorrow. So, and we have a blog going later today with a lot of stuff posting. So, really cool
so
stuff.
Much stuff happening.
Yes,
now here
exactly.
Back end.
One thing we did want to hit on, and this is some pretty big news from our end. One is it's an update regarding Season 4, and I know Joe wanted to talk a little bit about it.
So I'm very excited. So we've been talking about Season 4 a little bit, but like leading up to the release of Season 3, I mentioned some things about Season 4. We know there's gonna be a lot of changes being made in that season. You may recall, for some of you who've been around since the launch of the game, we had some streams after Season 1 went live where we talked a little bit about some of the changes we wanted to make in Season 2. And we'll remember that, like, vulnerable damage to vulnerable targets was like an extremely powerful stat, an all-encompassing stat, really, in that part of the game. And we had to go back and we really wanted to take a harder and longer look at that, look at overpowering some other things, and try to get the game into a better place. There were just more viable stats for players to proceed with. And that was a good amount of work, I think, that we can suggest. And it was a really great impact on the game overall, but it was, there's some work involved. Season 4 goes well beyond like the scope and scale and changes that we made in Season 2, particularly with regards to things like our stats, attributes, and the way that rewards work. So while there were a lot of things that we did in Season 2, and we're really happy with a lot of things in Season 2 as a result, there was a much better version and expression of the game experience overall. We have a lot more planned in Season 4, and the team has been hard at work for months and months working on a lot of these things on the side. So Season 3 came out, we had some changes with it. I think it's gone very, very well. There's a lot of really fun stuff in Season 3. Season 4 is going to be responding to a lot more of the reward concerns that players have, things with regards to itemization, and other things that we're not going to talk about just yet. But the news that we actually wanted to talk about today is that we're going to be opening up a PTR for Season 4 so that we can get a chance to let the community come in and test it extensively before the content actually goes live when Season 4 launches. So it'll be coming up, while Season 3 is still active. The Season 4 PTR will go live, and players get a chance to check that out and give us the feedback. And if they find issues and balance things, and we'll get a chance to kind of interpret all that and make some changes as we go.
Yeah, and I know players themselves have been asking, hey, how can we make Diablo a better experience? We want to be a part of it. Totally. It's something that the team here has most definitely heard. Yeah. As Joe mentioned, there's a ton of changes, especially around itemization that are coming into Season 4. So the team here really did feel a need for a PTR for players to jump in, try it out, provide their feedback while Season 3 is still active, of course, because we want to make sure that players are jumping in before Season 4 actually does start, and giving us that feedback so we can make any type of tweaks and changes from our end. And I know the team here has been doing a lot of work to incorporate a PTR into Diablo 4, especially for the first time. And so what we will say is, like, PTR, of course, will be before Season 4 starts. We'll actually have more information here in the coming weeks. We're actually going to have another Campfire Chat specifically focused around PTR and the content that you'll be playing in PTR. So it's kind of, it will be a little bit of a reveal of what you'll be experiencing in Season 4 as well. So it's going to be...
There'll be some things we'll hold on to talk about.
Some things we'll hold on, not everything.
But a huge amount of stuff. Huge amount of stuff to talk about for Season 4 them.
And I will say it will be we're already talking about it and going like, wow, it's going to be a pretty beefy Campfire Chat coming up here in the next couple of weeks. We'll have more info soon. But and one thing that we did want to note is it is just PC Battle.net to be as agile as we want to be with the changes on PTR. PC Battle.net was the best option for us. Right. So players on PC Battle.net will be able to experience the PTR themselves. And I will say with PTR, because of the changes that are coming with Season 4 and the amount of changes, as I said, the team felt like, hey, we need a PTR to make sure this happens. Does that mean we'll have a PTR every single season? Maybe not. It depends on the scale of changes that we have. But for Season 4, we most definitely plan on having a PTR. And so we'll have news on that really soon. So we're really excited that players can jump in, provide feedback. I know it's a long-awaited thing that people have been going like, oh, we would love to be able to jump in and provide some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing Season 4 internally for weeks at this point, leveling up character from 1 to 100, and it's a blast. I'm really looking forward to getting more feedback and thoughts, just getting more eyeballs on some of the stuff that we have planned. It's going to be very, very cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, like I said, we'll be back here in the next few weeks. We'll have information on when that Campfire Chat will be for PTR and all the information that you guys will be experiencing in that PTR specifically. So, and because I know like not everyone has experienced a PTR, I probably should define what a PTR is.
Yeah.
It is a public test realm. It is the ability of players being able to jump into a earlier build and kind of like test it out. Think of it like almost like a mini beta test of some sort to experience content that is coming down the line so that they can actually provide feedback over to us. And then we can make changes before things do go live. We've had PTRs for Diablo 2, we've had PTRs for Diablo 3, and of course now we have PTRs for Diablo 4. So really excited for that. And again, we'll be back in a couple weeks to talk about that.
Right.
We'll now jump into Q&A.
Yeah,
We know that a lot of people have questions, and we'll try to get through as many as possible. And then we'll remind everyone, at the end of the stream of like checking out the site for all the Gauntlet information and stuff like that. If we can't get to stuff,
Vlog's going live.
Live.
Yep.
So I know one question that we've seen a lot, at least within the community, is regarding the changes in 1.3.2. With the crafting changes, the ability of being able to craft Uber uniques. And we've seen some feedback from players related to that, especially related to like Resplendent Sparks, how many are required for them. I know you guys wanted to talk about that really quickly.
I'll jump into this first, right? So for the uninitiated in 1.3.2, in our last patch, we put in the ability for players to be able to craft these Uber unique items of their choice once they reach World Tier 4. And they require Resplendent Sparks to do so. And you get Resplendent Sparks by finding another Uber unique, which are very rare, salvage them, and then that gives you the one material that you need. Now, at launch, you need 5 Resplendent Sparks in order to craft one of these Uber uniques. In the next patch, where this is going to be where the Gauntlet's going live and the trial system is going live, we're going to be reducing that from 5 to 4. Now, why did we choose these numbers? So alongside those changes we made as part of that last release, we also dramatically increased the drop rate of Uber uniques from non-Duriel sources. So while Duriel gives you a fairly steady drop rate chance, still low, obviously, it's hard to find Uber unique items in general. They're very rare and very powerful. It was exceptionally rare, as I think most players would understand, to find Uber uniques outside of the encounter of Uber Duriel, which is one of the reasons why Uber Duriel is so popular. We did dramatically increase that drop rate chance. It's still very rare, right? So you're not going to be seeing it all the time, but we are seeing a dramatic uptick in the number of Uber uniques that are dropping throughout the game as a result of this. So why go from, if we heard some of the concerns about the number 5, why would we go from just a 20% reduction to 4? So we are seeing more of these Uber uniques dropping across the board, as I suggested. And this is sort of us beginning to get a sense of how players are interacting with these features as we start looking towards Season 4. So in terms of like the number of Uber uniques that are dropping, the way that players are engaging with various parts of the game overall to like farm up these items, we're seeing some changes in patterns, which is really cool. We just want to let things evolve a little bit and see how things proceed. And as we kind of get into Season 4, we'll be looking at making potentially further adjustments based upon reception and how we see the numbers actually doing. We still want Uber uniques to remain in a spot where they are very aspirational. They're not expected for every build to have them in order for them to come online and feel fun. Obviously, players really want them. You want them for your characters. They're really potent. But they shouldn't be the thing that is enabling you to really do something fun with your class. It's an extra layer on top of your class once you've managed to get one.
Awesome. Question that we have here is, are we getting any endgame content in season? I'm sorry, I was supposed to read the name.
Oh God,
hey, you don't put your names, it doesn't count.
Jucklax asks.
Jucklax?
Jucklax.
Juck with the J.
Juck with the J.
I'm sure everyone's really happy that we're spending all this time on this.
Very important.
Are we getting any endgame content in Season 4?
So I'm not allowed to talk about Season 4 today, but I would recommend that you definitely check out the PTR stream when we start talking about a lot of the content players are going to get a chance to test as part of that PTR release, because there is a lot of stuff that's going to be happening, particularly for endgame players.
There we go. There's a question regarding Gauntlet. Wink.
I said it, so that's,
So, congratulations. We have a question from Globusnus. That was, why is the level difficulty only Nightmare 70 for the Gauntlet?
Yes. So we wanted to make sure that Gauntlet content felt like something players could start trying to dig into immediately upon entering World Tier 4. Why did we do this? We want players to be able to like ramp up through the content as they're leveling up through that last world tier. And we wanted to see how players were going to react to it, basically, as a result of that. Like, do players ever want to try playing through it at 85? Because when you're playing through the Gauntlet, there's the seals that I think were discussed during the playthrough. The players can earn based on the point scores you're able to get. If you're crushing those point scores, you're getting rewards for doing that. And it gives you that sense of progression as you go, and you get more and more of your gear online. You find more of the uniques you need. You manage to get like you start getting your 925 items online. Like a lot of your player power can come online as you get your glyphs leveled up and things. It doesn't mean that you need to wait to level at a very high level to be able to go do that content. So we want to make it available. And we also want to focus a little bit more on how quickly players can navigate the space, use shrines to the best effect, reset creature spawns, fight bosses, spawn bosses. We want to focus more on the strategy element of it rather than the sense that monsters had much higher hit point values and dealt much more damage as part of the run. We weren't looking to like recreate like the AOZ moment, for example, as part of the space. We want this to be a little bit faster, a little bit more approachable for players of different like gear scores effectively when they start getting and build power parity when they start getting to the space. Having like a fully tricked out build is going to be still be very, very useful because it allows you to blast a lot faster.
Yeah, and also I'd like just to double down, like the purpose of the Gauntlet it's not meant to be really, really hard to get through at all, where like if you just finish it, that's an accomplishment, right? Like AOZ was more that room, like can you beat it?
Yeah.
And that's not what the Gauntlet is. The Gauntlet is about how quickly can you beat it, how do you optimize, how do you strategize, how do you change your route? It's a different thing that we're testing for players. It's not just about defeating it at all.
It's about the point score.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of AOZ, Sparky Quark 7 asks, any AOZ content coming soon?
I just really recommend, again, check out, just
really look at that stream.
There's a lot of stuff
watch
happening in the
stream.
PTR stream. I just really recommend just get a chance to check out that stream. I would recommend it. I'm
going to answer this really quickly because Shark Cohen asked, is the P and PTR public or private? It is public. So if you are a PC Battle.net user, you'll be able to actually jump into the PTR. We'll have instructions and everything of how to do that once we have the PTR up and we have the stream and everything like that for players. Is PTR free from Midwest Bob? Yes, it is. Is there an NDA? No, there's not an NDA. Can you stream it? Of course you can. So yes, we'll have more information on that again with the PTR.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of PTR questions.
I just want to make really clear, like it is free as long as you are a person who owns Diablo 4 on Battle.net.
Correct.
Yes,
So
yes,
correct. Yes. It's if you're already an owner of Diablo 4 on Battle.net. Good clarification. Fonz asks, Adam, will you be able to see a breakdown of individual score relative to the other people in your party in the Gauntlet? Actually, that's a good question. If you can go to the leaderboard and actually inspect players, because I haven't done that myself on the build. So
yeah, right now it's party score, so it's totaling up the value of your whole team.
Person.
Yeah,
got it. Okay.
There is no I in team. Or party.
I guess my own sub-question to that would be on a solo leaderboard, would you be able to actually see someone's build if they have their profile not private or something like that? Can you actually pull up their character?
Yeah, you'll be able to see the skills they have equipped at the time, and you'll be able to see like their key passive. So yeah, you can't look at their whole skill tree, but like you can see a lot of information about them.
Awesome.
Because we don't talk about this, but we actually did make some updates to the profile screen. We made some updates at the same time. They'll be showing up in that release.
Imligit says, will the Gauntlet leaderboard be region locked? No, because everyone's playing technically on a global server.
That's right.
When you do play with your friends in your own region, you just tend to connect to them. You tend to connect to people that are playing near you because of obviously latency and stuff like that. So,
that's right.
Does the companion go with you in the Gauntlet? So I think I saw this comment a lot, well, especially when Stephen Leviathan was playing through because he was the charge barb. And so a lot of people thought he didn't have a Seneschal construct with him. No, just charge barbs just move really fast. So he most definitely was there. The construct was there and was following him and stuff like that. So
it'll be with you.
It will be with you inside the Gauntlet. And just so that you guys are aware, Gauntlet is a feature that is not just Season 3. Yeah. It is a feature that goes beyond Season 3. This is a part of Diablo 4 going forward.
So generally your seasonal powers and things will go into the Gauntlet. You'll be able to bring everything to bear that you can.
Yeah, we talked about this quite a bit actually, whether we want that to be the case, and we think it's more fun to allow these things to coexist.
Question from Cody4PF. Why is there minimal mob density in Gauntlet? The barb ran out of density. How am I supposed to play this with my friends? I think players, with Gauntlet is like a different type of like play style. Players will most definitely have. You'll learn the dungeon throughout that week. you'll learn that you can actually take bosses. You don't have to kill that boss right there. You can most definitely bypass it, maybe even like leash it or bring it with you into other rooms.
You might want to save it because you might want the shrine later in a different way.
There are shrines that actually bring back mobs back to life, so you can immediately get an additional score. And so there's a lot of strategy involved with it. So I know a lot of people are going like, hey, there are specific moments where like Steven was like, didn't have anyone to kill there. It's mainly because, you know, you can actually strategize and pull specific things and try to figure out exactly what ends up working really well for your character, your build, or how you want to actually maybe use shrines to benefit exactly who you kill there.
Yeah, we're not looking to make a slow-paced experience with the Gauntlet, which I think you probably saw. You saw the players getting a chance to check it out earlier. But we're also not trying to maximize density in the same way that we would in like Nightmare Dungeons or Helltide areas. You know, players aren't getting loot drops and they're not getting a lot of experience from these creatures. So that really the focus is on the player having an idea of like where they can find packs of mobs and where mobs can be found in general in the space, and navigating the environment carefully in order to like maximize their point gain during that time, and then interacting with these other things along the way. Why are you smiling?
It's just, I have a question from someone in here, but they have the most hilarious username.
I look forward to this.
I'm gonna say it, but it's hilarious.
Just go.
Bob Dole's Blue Pills asks,
Very good.
any possibility of getting better cosmetics through gameplay, maybe through Gauntlet, skins on par from the shop, etc. This is actually a active conversation that's been happening a lot, especially based off of community feedback that we've seen regarding the shop and stuff. So I will say that we don't have anything to say right now, but we'll have some more news regarding some items related to the shop that we'll be sharing here over the coming weeks and months and stuff that will kind of help with some of this conversation I know that we've been hearing. Sorry, that name was just, wow. Al Quadrodia asks...
killing it over there.
I know, amazing. Adam, perfect. Where can we find new vampiric legendary aspects? This is something we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, and if for people that are just kind of tuning in, vampiric powers are coming back into Season 3 a little bit, tuned a little bit differently.
Yeah, some of them.
So you'll be able to find them the same way you can find any other legendary in the game. They're just going to be random drops everywhere. None of them, just to clarify, they're not going to be in the dungeons like the Codex of Power. None of them are going in there, but you'll be able to find them just like other legendaries just randomly out in the world. So no different than any of those.
Awesome. Chronics TR, Nightmare Vaults were a community favorite and very awesome to run through. Will they come back after Season 3?
There are a lot of really good learnings from Nightmare Vaults and a lot of the content we have in Season 3 that's kind of advising things we're doing with Nightmare Dungeons across the board. While Nightmare Vaults themselves are not immediately returning like in Season 4, for example, they are also something we're going to be continuing to look at and think about for future releases. So, but we're really glad that players have found like some value in them and just how exciting they are and how punchy they are on the reward side. Yeah. So yeah, they're fun. They're a great disruption to the Nightmare Dungeon loop sometimes too.
Yeah.
Afrojack365 says, do you guys plan on offering an armory to maybe swap builds? And this is something that we've heard a lot over.
We've talked about it before too on stream. We really like this idea. The systems teams, the UI teams, all like the idea of doing this. There are plans for us to add it somewhere in the future, but we don't have dates to talk about yet. This is something we really like the idea of. We want to make sure that the game is, when we launched the game, we had this idea of like having some sense of like build permanence and things. We thought that was really important, harkening back to some of the some bits in the past from Diablo 2 and other games. But increasingly as we've been continuing to build the game and receive feedback and play it ourselves, we're finding we really want to be able to embrace a lot more flexibility. You'll see some steps in that direction also in Season 4. But this is an example of a thing where it's like, well, we do, in an effort to make sure the players can kind of change the way they want to play more easily, this is a feature we'd like to support. We want to do it the right way. So this, these are things we'll continue to be discussing.
Yeah, and this is on top of some of the other feedback that we've seen from players going hey, social features and things like that. I know it's a priority within the team. They're working on things and stuff, and we'll have more info to share here soon on those aspects. I'll end on this. This one's a good one for Mr. Adam Jackson.
Sure.
Because this specifically talks about the Necromancer and some of the changes that are coming. This is from First Time Cheddar. Why would you guys remove damage from Death's Reach's passive? Is that contrary to the no nerfs policy you had mentioned for mid-season updates? Why didn't you just add speed on top of the damage?
Yeah. I would say one, as far as like comparing damage to move speed, I think it's a pretty clear winner that move speed is a better stat and has more power than damage in our game. I think when we think about necromancers in general, even across the game in general, we undervalued move speed as far as how strong it is. Like we knew it was strong and good, but we didn't realize just how important and like almost one-dimensional move speed. If you have the option to teleport or move faster or get something quickly, that matters more than pretty much every other stat once you get to a point where you can kill things quickly, right? So as far as why didn't we just like add move speed on top of the damage? Generally, when it comes to our passives, we try to keep our passives simply designed of like, this is what the passive does, and it's all themed together and you know, like makes sense in a specific way. So we try not to have a lot of different effects on a single passive, or even ones that are like very disparate that don't really make sense to be together. And I think like moving quickly and having damage to distant enemies doesn't like, you know, you move quickly to close distance, not to stay distant more often than not because you're moving forward through a dungeon. So yeah, that was just a call that we made. Like it's something we can very easily add damage back to the Necromancer in a more general way too, which we do.
In different ways, but yes.
Yeah, you know, we add damage in a bunch of different places. Like damage is very easy to add, whereas move speed not so much. So we thought that the passive slot was a really good way because we really wanted just a generic passive. The Barbarian, I believe, also has one now that just gives you more move speed, so you can just go through the game better.
Yeah.
So we felt like it was just a better choice for the class, and like I don't think that too many people are going to miss damage to distant as much because it's way more niche than something that's just generically strong like move speed. And you know, if Necromancers need damage, we have a million places we can add them back. I'm not too worried about that.
Awesome. And you had mentioned like even like Necromancers are getting because a lot of these mid-season updates themselves are related to minions, and a lot more changes are even coming in Season 4. You had mentioned beforehand as well. So
yeah, I think it's important to maybe address the other part though, of like, did we see this as kind of going back on our promise to not nerf things? You know, so I think this is why we kind of resist the urge generally in mid-season patches to redesign things completely, because then it's kind of a crapshoot. Like, is it a buff? Is it a nerf? If it's a redesign, and it could be seen poorly. We just feel like in this case, move speed is such a clear win that we were willing to do that. But we're open to the feedback, and you know, if this is too risky to the players and they don't like that, then we're willing to bend on that. I think that's okay. We just felt like this was kind of an open and shut case.
Cool. Well, thank you guys very much for the insight and the info on the mid-season update, and of course Gauntlet. Again, thank you again to Macro Bioboy and Anna Cake Live for joining us, and our three devs, John, Steven, and Liam, for jumping in and playing through. Again, Gauntlet is coming out with 1.3.3, which is our mid-season update. That will be hitting next Tuesday on March 5th, so players will be able to actually jump in, check out Gauntlet. We're really looking forward to seeing the feedback for the first couple weeks, and you know, letting us know like, hey, are there any tweaks and stuff like that that we can end up doing? We'll be monitoring that from that end. Another thing that we'll be monitoring is the question we asked earlier, that Adam had asked earlier, about how people want to see specific updates happen with classes and like and that you guys may have. So like, by all means, have those conversations on various community channels. We'll be checking those out. Let us know what you guys actually think. And just a reminder, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass. Later this, I almost said later this, it's 2/29. It's a leap year day, by the way. It is not March yet. Bamboozled. But it's coming later in March. It'll be on March 28th. So players will be able to check it out on Game Pass. Diablo 4 will be the first Blizzard title on Game Pass. We're really excited about that. So patch notes tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. Blog post, and there's actually a blog post up right after this stream for the Gauntlet, so make sure to check that out for all the information related to Gauntlet before next week. And of course, we will be back in a couple weeks to talk about that beefy Campfire Chat related to PTR and Season 4. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you guys very much. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow to check out all the patch notes. So yeah.
Thank you.